Hello, good morning, esteemed fans across the globe. Trust you're getting on well. Of course, this is the Unitide season, so it's much around the corner, especially the Xmas period here. Of course, there have been several, of course, different moods being expressed by people. I welcome you to this wonderful, exciting moment here in Conweb TV. I remember the host Uncle Chigos here in the evening. The topical issues of interest today is Simon Ekpa and the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, of course, over the matter that is boiling and that is of interest to all as sundry. Prior to this time, the CDS addressed the public when he was interviewed by one of the conventional channels of media, and he expressed his dissatisfaction over how the military has been treated. That a military personnel earns less than 50% according, 50,000 according to his submission. Now that those who are on the field or supposed operations are being budgeted 1,200 naira for their feeding, including him as a general, down to the last of course, rank of the military, that they have a budget of 1,200. What does that portend? He's calling for more, of course, a review of such a salary because it does not reflect the realities on ground, and the militaries are suffering and they are not encouraged. They are being demoralized and battered. Most of them have not seen their families and relatives for as long as 6 months or more. And this, of course, is causing some level of depression. And just to set the background of what we are to discuss this morning. Now, the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, also, while addressing the Senate plenary of the National Assembly, made emphatic submissions that Simon Ekpa is sabotaging their effort. What is that effort which Simon Ekpa is sabotaging in the face of the current realities? So these are people who has not been well taken care of by the Nigerian government. I recall during the NSAS program or protest, people were calling for a review, of course, an upward review of the salaries of the military personnel and the that of the police, so that they could be motivated to serve without calling for or looking for bribe to take, or how to, uh, of course, exploit the masses who they are meant to protect. Now, the same CDS said the Simon Ekpa, who is in the faraway Finland, is sabotaging the efforts. The efforts, what are these efforts? The efforts of keeping Nigeria one. Whether Nigeria is stuck in the wheel of motionless or despair, what they are, of course, the command is to keep Nigeria one. You see, there are people who are saying that the system is not working. Humanity deserves more than what is experiencing, what is tenable within the Nigerian state. That there should be a way forward for humanity. That this is not how government or governance should, of course, be carried out. There is no legitimacy in poverty. There is no legitimacy in abnormality. There is no legitimacy in doing, in bringing down the society and the human, of course, society within the Nigerian state. Now, this informed the agitation. The agitation was started by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who believe that diplomatic means or approach is the only way forward. Prior to this time, before his extraordinary rendition, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have not taken up arms because he does not believe in the use of arms. Of course, in pursuance of his legitimate rights to self-determination. But after the conspiracy that led to his extraordinary rendition for Kenya, the government of Nigeria thought they have won the war by, of course, arresting or seizing the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, not knowing that they are just giving way for peace diplomatic process for to be replaced by, of course, self struggle or armed struggle. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and his faithful followers were only carrying placards and demonstrating on the streets of the supposed Biafran territory. But when they were forced, of course, they were killed and massacred by the Nigerian military and other sister agencies. At the point after his extraordinary rendition, the game changed. People now say, okay, since the diplomatic means of engaging the government of Nigeria seems to not have yielded the desired fruit, and the government is taking weapons against them, killing their sons and daughters and their loved ones and uncles, they resort to armed struggle, which of course escalated to the level we are now. Now, a man called Simon Ekpa Joko, who is on the faraway land, now decided to set up what he called his Dragon Squad. And some people have underestimated his potency, his commitment, and sincerity to that cause. Some who thought that it was just a mere joke today, as we've done in their statement, even the military hierarchies understood that this is a cog, this is a heavy blow to them because all their efforts in keeping Nigeria warm, in holding down the agitators and suppressing them from embarking on what they truly believe as the only way forward in preserving their cultural heritage and prosperity is to call for the independent state of the Biafran. Of course, the government and the military operatives thought that would be the only way to silence these people, but unfortunately to them, they are having a different story today. What am I trying to drive in? That if the military can complain that they are not being taken care of, that they only receive 1,200 allowance as this, and you are now still want to keep the same country that have no regard for your welfare. Imagine a military man with all the hazards they face in the discharge of their duty are being paid less than 50,000 according to his submission. What is 50,000 under this current economic mishaps? Which means Nigeria is not working for anybody, not even for the civilians, not even for the military operatives, except for the few less than 1% of the population who happens to be the politically exposed persons who are budgeting billions upon billions for their own upkeep, for their own welfare and that of their cronies. And the military, unfortunately, refused to, of course, live in this consciousness. That why are we protecting these politicians? They are using us as rags. They don't care for us. Even when we fall victims in the discharge of our duties, the loved ones we left behind are not being taken care of as the law demands. If what you are given while alive cannot sustain you, then what is the probability that after your demise, that the family you left behind will be well taken care of? That is the reality. So if the military are saying that Simon Ekpa is sabotaging their interests, the interest of keeping Nigeria one under this retrogressive and non-productivity states, then how sincere are their, of course, motives? And the people who said no, we are tired of this system, complaining, grumbling, and wallowing in abject poverty. We must address these target issues and find a lasting solution to this myriad of problems. Some say, even of the Igbo expression, we say that Simon Ekpa should go and sit down. Should Simon Ekpa sit down while you stand up? If the military can admit the potency of the threat Simon Ekpa poses to the existence of Nigeria, then who are individuals to have a contrary view? Some say that he's working for Nigerian government to destroy the southeast. How true is that statement? Because if Mazi Simon Ekpa is working for the Nigerian government, for the federal government, they wouldn't be after his life. They wouldn't be seeking for any possible means to, of course, repatriate him or rendition him back to Nigeria. Because they have seen him as a very, as a, my people do say, "Otuto toro na apamu." You see, when you have a ball in your tactics, you know what that means as a man. You see, you are in for it. You will never have comfort. You will never have comfort. So that is just what Mazim Nnamdi. Because from my analysis, I met one of the Yoruba men, young man. He said he's a fan of Simon. If I said why, what is your interest in that? He said he spent 1,000 naira data watching him for 2 days. That he's committed to listening to Mazi Simon but because he believed in the cause which is pursued. I said, wow, even you as a Yoruba person is more committed in watching Simon than most of the Igbo people who believe that they want Biafra. What am I saying? The reality is that neither the military officers nor even the bloody civilians that they may call us are not happy with the system called Nigeria. If a military man will be paid less than 50,000, which is almost less than $38 or euros, you can imagine what that means. How will such person take care of his families and loved ones or children, take them to a very good school? And the military not seeing this, can they ask questions? The Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, when the government or the democratic government is not working, the military has to come in to address them abnormally. I'm not encouraging you to, to up the government, but there is a way you can understand that what is happening is not just affecting the masses, but you are also bearing the brunt. But the unfortunate thing is that your hands and legs have been tied. But how long will that continue? You are losing your men. Your men are dying on daily basis. Of course, the different liberation armies, there are also casualties. So how long can we continue to raise? We are all brethren, but we have choose to plant the tree of hatred. And when the tree of hatred begin to produce fruit of hatred, of bitterness, we will all reap from it. We all pluck from it, and that is just the reality that is happening. So for those calling Mazi Nnamdi to go and sit down, that doesn't know what he's doing, but he has been recognized by the Nigerian government that is causing more harm than imagined. They thought that it's just a walkover. But this is just the beginning, as Mazi Simon has said, that is coming with an earthquake. And you know what that means? That the more they are pushed to the wall, the more, of course, they prepare for the worst. That they are ready to let down their lives in defense of what they truly believe, in defense of what they believe is their fundamental right, of course, to self-determination as enshrined in the United Nations People's Charter of fundamental rights of the people. But the only interest the Nigerian military have is to keep Nigeria warm under any circumstances that the Nigeria is not unity is not negotiable. How do you mean? There have been very big countries who divided, and today both parts are doing exceedingly well. What is the essence of keeping Nigeria warm when even the militaries are not taking? How can you on earth pay a military man 1,200? What is 1,200? That is not enough to buy a loaf of bread, to sip tea under this current inflation. How can a military personnel, even from the hierarchy of a general down to the last cadre, be sustained 1,200 in a day? I mean, that is arrant madness. But it's a choice, of course, which you accepted. When the civilians, through civic means, are trying to engage the public or the government in reviewing the salaries of the workers, and you also will be sent to counter them. The legislator gets, we are told a story that these are unknown military men in uniform. But up to today, we don't know their faces. Some people have not been brought to book, not knowing that they are being paid 1,200 for allowance, feeding allowance. Why the executive and the legislatures, of course, budget billions, several billions for their feeding allowances. Who is deceiving who? It never reach for us to get sense, and the military cannot afford basic health care system. Most of them are amputated. Most of them have lost their limbs, their arms. Those who survive. Is it not time to begin to ask questions? That standing with the people is more safer, it's more realistic than standing with the political elites who will use you and dump you at the end of the day. Are they making the sacrifices you are making? Even laying your life in defense of a system which even does not recognize your value, does not recognize what you are doing. You will sleep in the bush and you will pay 1,200 for feeding. Where on earth does that happen? And you still be mobilized. They will use the money they should use to pay you allowances and feeding allowance for your families. They will use it to procure the latest armories, weapons, fighter jet, bombers. I will send you into suicidal mission where they can't take care of you. You can see the disparity, you can see the irony. So it's high time we begin to, of course, ask questions and fundamental questions, address issues of importance of such. So if you're saying Simon Ekpa should sit down, well, my opinion does not matter as far as Simon Ekpa is concerned, because I know that he, all the way from Finland, if he can command such level of respect or loyalty for people who believed in him, man, you know, he's unstoppable. That is the reality. So I think the Nigerian government should have taken out on how to release Mazi Nnamdi because he is the only one who can stop Simon Ekpa. Mazi Nnamdi is the only one who can stop Simon Ekpa, not the Nigerian government. Because prior to this time, when Mazi Nnamdi was in the field, was in the public domain, there is nobody hears Simon Ekpa except for his programs. But it took this dimension because Mazi Nnamdi was set aside temporarily and he stepped in. And nobody can, he can't listen to anyone, nobody can control, not even the Nigerian government. It's a match for him. That is the reality. It is an issue of gun to gun, bullet for bullet. And the more it escalates, the more deadly you receive the bombardment, the woto coming from him. It is the truth. But the fact that the innocent masses are suffering it. So is it not time for the government to sit down and say and talk to themselves? What is wrong if this Nigeria state is balkanized, is splitted, and that brings about healthy competitions across different regions of this country? And less confrontation start between both regions so that the military can return to barracks and have a rest and plan for their own families and reunite with their families and loved ones. Rather than dying in the deserts, in the woods, in the roads, being kidnapped. You see how they are being shot. And they're also aggravating the situation because when you kill people, the ones you kill their loved ones will also come after you. By so doing, you are building and expanding the hostility, which is taking unusual dimension. And with that level of dimension, it is assuming Nigeria will be consumed. That is the reality. Let me leave you with these thoughts. Of course, ponder over it and watch. React to it. Share this message. Let it go to the military hierarchy. They begin to have everything. You cannot continue to waste your people, your men, in a fruitless effort to stop the restoration of the Biafran state, which they have determined to even die in defending. That is the reality. You're only defending to keep Nigeria one, but these people are defending to keep their ancestral home safe. They are defending to keep their posterity secured. They are defending to preserve their cultural heritage. And this they have laid their life in defense, acting within the ambit of the law. But unfortunately, if I may use the word, they have been pushed to armed struggle. You know what that means? When it gets escalated to this level, then everybody must have casualties, must suffer casualties. The hostility continues to expand. It is only Nnamdi Kanu that can stop Simon Ekpa and nothing more. I leave you with this until I come your way in the next edition. Remain blessed and have a fantastic day ahead.